Now, as you would know, yesterday I opined on the issue of a media story that was run to do with an expert group that had been established a couple of months ago, I think in February, to give advice to Cabinet Minister Casey Costello in her role as, assumed, both Minister of Customs and as Associate Police Minister, on how basically to best organise crime and presumably their control and expansion of the drug problem and methamphetamine in New Zealand. Their first report suggests that New Zealand was losing the fight, underscored by meth readings and New Zealand wastewater outlets, by the Ngāpuhi police seeking to cooperate together because it was particularly bad in Northland and it was destroying, the iwi leaders said, the iwi and many of the whānau in that particular role. But also the effects of the meth trade are being experienced throughout the entirety of this country and across, it has to be said, a wide section of society as well, from optometrists through to, well, as we know, some gang members and almost everybody in between. New Zealanders are, per capita, I think, the biggest consumers of meth, or we'll be right up there. We're sure we are. It's cheap, it's plentiful, it's got fringe acceptability in some quarters, and it's been amplified greatly, I have to say, by organised crime in this country, particularly rogue motorcycle groups, etc., and gangs. You know the story. Gosh, there's a story every day in our courts associated with meth and its consequences. Joining us to talk about, though, her particular expert group, why it was established, and what, if anything, can be done about organised crime in this country. The Associate Police Minister, Casey Costello, joins us now. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. First of all, I praised you yesterday for establishing an independent advisory group. It's great to have advice that doesn't come from the state sector alone. But can I ask you what your motive was?
I suppose it's broadly, from my own experience, and prior to coming into this role, I was doing a lot of work in labour exploitation, not doing the exploitation, but investigating labour exploitation. And it struck me that there was a lot of silos in the way we respond to organised crime. And if you think of organised crime beyond the gangs that we see, this is, organised business enterprise making huge amounts of money out of anything they can make money from. Scamming, fraud, exploitation, child exploitation, drugs, whatever they can make money from, they will use it. But we respond as a government in our runways. We respond very collectively. Since coming into this role, Customs and Police have done amazing work in their collaborations to, basically disempower the gangs and disrupt their activity, but they were kind of on their own in that space. So all I saw is that we have to approach this like they approach it and work collaboratively a lot better and use every single lever we've got to strengthen our border, deter, disrupt, dismantle their activity, and that is not, it's not exclusively within our shores. This is how we work internationally as well, and that's the reason why this expertise is needed.
The amount of meth consumption in this country, the latest statistics suggest that's almost doubled in the last couple of years. And that's got to be as a result of organised crime, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's part of the report that we've produced is that it's much cheaper to manufacture. It's our old sort of meth labs, things are a thing of the past. The way it's distributed, the expert way it's distributed, that's frightening and around their ability. And the other thing that's really, New Zealand has a very unique system around our water testing. Like, we have very good results. We can see spikes when they occur, just as we saw when the police disrupted the gang activity in Opotiki. We saw the wastewater results halve in that space. So we can see straight away the impact we're having on activity. So it's a really, but yeah, it's huge. It's cheap. And one of the things that kind of gets missed in this conversation, this is being supply driven. This is being forced into our communities. It's gone are the days where you had to go, through dark alleys and streetways to try and get your hardcore drugs. This is being pushed. If you go and try and get dope, you're going to get meth. Those are the sort of things that they are driving to build a market and a demand in our country. And that's what we've got to, they're doing it like a business. They're building their market, and we need to dismember that.
I talked to you about Ngāpuhi, sorry, not Ngaitahu, Ngāpuhi up north, saying, listen, we've got a problem. We're going to try and work with the police because it's just wrecking our community. But I'm sort of, there's a part of me, and there must be a part of you too, Casey, that goes, God, good luck. Because once these communities get infested and infected with drugs, I'm thinking particularly the East Cape and the North Island in particular, and cannabis consumption in that area, it's almost impossible to eradicate, isn't it?
Well, it is to the extent that in our traditional ways of approaching things. But if you looked at some of the work we've done, so there's a program about, it's called ROC, Resilience Resilience to Organised Crime in Communities. This is about, once you've done what we've done in Apotiki, you bring in a range of services to strengthen the community, because these networks, are leeching off these communities. But if you can disrupt and then create some alternatives, and that's why this is not just about reducing supply, this is about dealing with the demand issues as well. So there is Te Ara Oranga in Whangarei, which is a meth harm reduction program, it's proven successful, the police recognise it. There's things that we know work that we can do better, and we know that we have to provide, in the environment of despair, an alternative pathway. And we saw this in Kawerau, where that the person driving the flashiest car in town was the drug dealer, better than the mayor, better than everybody. So this is the sort of stuff that we have to do. We have to create an alternative pathway. So yes, attack supply, and that's what this piece of work is about. But in behind that, we come in and deal with the demand issues and provide alternatives and wraparound services. So I have full sympathy for Northland. I'm actually up in Kaikoai next week to meet with one of the ROC programs up there. There is really good stuff, and we just need to accelerate how we provide access to that, attacking both ends of this fight.
We're not just talking about meth trade, though. Beforehand, in your introductory comments, you were talking about organised crime and other areas as well. Yeah. Are there particular areas of what they do, organised crime in this country, that you have particular concern about and you believe are escalating other than just the meth consumption?
I think that we have significant issues, and we've seen it everywhere, is the scamming, and that again is largely people attacking us from external of our borders. I know exploitation is an issue, and I dealt with that significantly, where we had a mindset in New Zealand that paying someone a bit of cash under the table isn't a problem, but these businesses are profiting off the human misery, and we know that is occurring. That's way beyond what we see as not getting paid your holiday pay. This is some really challenging environments where people are making huge amounts of money out of it. And so the idea of this group is to tackle. We have a huge amount of levers. We have, you go back to the old Al Capone, scenario with IRD. If you can't get them one way, you get them another way. You go after the money, you go after the proceeds of crime, but you go after everything that their tentacles can touch. We have a huge amount of, whether it's companies' office, whether it's motor vehicle dealers, whether it's IRD, whether it's crime, whether it's asset recovery, all of those levers we can pull, because we should be the very best in the world at this. We have one jurisdiction, we have one police force, we have one border. We should be the best at this because we don't have to navigate all of these different sensitivities of different states and things. So we should be really good at it. And that's what we need to work through, is break down those silos. And we have a really good appetite in this government. We've seen it with the gang patch legislation. We saw it with the work that's being done in the justice space by Minister Goldsmith. We know we're ready to be bold, and this group is about being bold and not kowtowing to sensitivities. New Zealand owes us. And just economically, we're losing billions of dollars off our shore through money trafficked out of our country. And we can be better. And this group is about bold. And the reason for this report was kind of to wake up New Zealanders. We know it, the police know it, customs know it, we know what the reality is. But if we're going to be bold and change laws and change regulations, we need the public to understand why we're doing this. And this is about the future of our grandchildren. This is about the country we want to leave to them. And we have to take it back from a targeted approach to weaken our country.